Brian, what's the secret behind your weight loss?
Stay tuned to find out.
Welcome to Crocs in the Kitchen.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Jessica.
Today we figured we wouldn't do a recipe video, but we would do something where we just talk to you people out there who want to know exactly what we do for our diet plan.
Yes, so we have lost 270 pounds combined to date. I think I'm at like 117 pounds and you're at 153?
153, yeah, something like that.
So yeah, about 270 pounds. And we get asked a lot, what is the secret to your weight loss? What have you done?
What are you guys doing?
And I know we've talked about this in a lot of other videos, but we wanted to just do this video to kind of summarize everything all in one place and hopefully answer some of your questions.
Into one nice little package.
Yes. Obviously, we won't be able to cover everything in this video, so there might be topics that we have a lot more to say on, but we don't go into detail on. So let us know in the comments below if there's something you want us to make a specific video on just that topic or aspect of our weight loss.
Yep. So as some of you may know, if you've watched our previous videos, we've talked about this. I came home from work one day and I'd watched a video of Joe Rogan talking to Kevin Smith about losing weight. Kevin Smith talked about reading the book Presto by Penn Jillette. And basically I came home and told Jessica, hey, I want to eat 2 weeks of potatoes.
Yes, we've been trying to lose some weight for a while. Brian was 514 pounds at the time. I was 285 pounds. We both knew it was totally out of control and we wanted our lives back.
Yeah.
So when Brian came home and told me he wanted to try this, I jumped at the chance to do anything to, hopefully turn our lives around. And it basically, we just picked a date on the calendar that we were gonna start. And we had a few weeks to use everything up in our pantry, go through all the stuff that was in our freezer, try to clean everything out. But we set a date on our lovely calendar and we circled it and we're like, you know what? This is the day we're gonna start doing the potatoes and this is the start of our new lives.
But before we hit that date, we ended up having some very, very bad meals, including some, was it almond dark chocolate toffee that was purchased just before all of our potatoes, as some people have pointed out.
Oops.
But yes, we did have some very bad meals before going right into the potatoes.
Yeah,
and it was a heck of a transition. Probably wasn't the best decision to do before switching to plain potatoes, but it's what we did. If you want to find out about us and our potato time, please go back to the first video that we ever posted, or you can watch the things we learned from the 2 weeks of potatoes video as well. Both of those links are in the description below. We don't need to rehash all of that stuff, but it's always fun to go back and look and see exactly how fat we were.
Yeah, so that's how we got our start, and that's not how everyone needs to get their start. There's so many ways. There's so many other kind of potato resets you can do.
Yep.
There's other ways to kickstart this kind of diet, but that's just what we did. But we are going to focus this video more around what we actually did to lose weight
and what
after
we do now.
the 2 weeks of potatoes and what we're currently doing. So we get asked a lot, what did we actually do to lose all the weight so far? So during those 2 weeks of potatoes, we didn't really know what we were gonna do next. I did a lot of reading. I had read Penn Jillette's book. I knew that he switched to essentially a vegan diet, but didn't really know a whole lot about it. I spent a lot of time on Twitter actually, reading tweets back and forth between Penn Jillette and Ray Chronois and all those people, just kind of like, people asking them, what do I do after the potatoes? And a lot of it all led back to reading the book Eat to Live. So they kind of recommended, they didn't really have, Ray and Penn didn't really have like a book or plan out for what they actually had Penn doing to lose the weight, but Eat to Live was very similar to what they did and they based a lot of it off of that. So I started reading that book, and we found the 6-week plan for weight loss. So it was a plan that outlines, do this for 6 weeks and you'll lose weight. Of course, we had much longer than 6 weeks to lose weight because we had hundreds of pounds to lose.
Yeah.
So we just kind of started with a 6-week plan and then kept repeating it, just kept doing it for longer than 6 weeks. But we also adapted it and changed it over time to fit what we did. We're not like super, super strict to every little aspect of it, but we found out what works for us.
Yeah, so the 6-week plan for weight loss in the Eat to Live program is fairly straightforward. You can eat unlimited amounts of many different things, including most vegetables, beans, legumes, and tofu. You can also eat as much as you want of like fresh fruits and that. You limit your starchy vegetables, your whole grains, nuts and seeds, things like avocado and dried fruit, and then completely off limits are dairy, animal products, any kind of snacking in between meals, fruit juice, and absolutely no oils whatsoever.
Yeah, so the categories are limited. You do want to make sure you hit certain amounts of those.
Yes.
So you can check out in the book Eat to Live, it's outlined more, or there's plenty of resources. We'll actually link to a couple of really good resources in the blog post for this that you can check out that kind of explain it a little bit more in depth. But we're not going to go into a whole bunch of detail on that, but we sort of just stuck to that 6-week plan. There were areas where we compromised and we weren't like measuring and weighing out every single thing to make sure we only had 1 ounce of this or 1 ounce of that. Over time, we just sort of naturally knew here's how much we could eat, and we would lose weight, but we would also we wouldn't feel hungry.
Yeah, we aren't trying to just check off things on the list to make sure that we got enough of this or enough of that in particular. We tend to just eat like a lot of the leafy green vegetables or the non-starchy vegetables. We eat a few of the starchy vegetables or whole grains. It's generally whole grains for me.
Yeah.
And then we eat fruit, and it's really just that. We try to limit these. We try to eat a ton of these. Keep it simple. No point in complicating something like weight loss and stressing over all of the minutia of the diet. Forget about it.
In the book, there's a lot of talk about what's called G-bombs.
Yes.
And so, like, if anybody follows a nutritarian diet, you know what G-bombs is. It's what? Greens, beans, onions, mushrooms, berries, seeds / nuts.
Yep.
So those are different categories of foods that you want to try to get a lot of.
Yeah, you want to get all of those in your diet.
And so those are things you want to get in, but they're, in the beginning we were like, oh man, do we have to stick to this every day and like check it off a list or something? But you really don't. You kind of, what the G-bomb aspect did for us was it just opened our eyes to, okay, some of these foods might have, good properties that we want and we want to eat them, like mushrooms, for example.
Yeah.
Mushrooms are not something I really ate before at all. So I made an effort to incorporate them more in my diet. Do I eat mushrooms every day? No. Do I eat raw onion every day? No. But there are things that we try to incorporate more over time and just, keep it in the back of our mind that they are definitely good things for us, but it's not something that we obsess over.
It gave us a target, but we don't always try to hit a bullseye on that target.
Yeah, I think the main thing was more sticking to the 6-week plan, the quantities and all that kind of stuff, to our best estimate has been what has actually allowed us to continue to lose weight. But the other thing is there's so many ways that you can do this. There's so many different whole food plant-based diets that you can follow. And we've seen people with success on numbers of them. This is just what we ended up doing. I think a lot of people get hung up in small things and then they get frustrated and just abandon ship because you cannot hit all the check boxes.
Yeah.
I think one of the big things has been salt. And with this diet, we try to eliminate all added oils, sugar, and salt. So in the beginning, we weren't adding barely any salt to anything. They say maybe add a bit to your food before you eat it.
Yeah.
And over time, your taste buds do adjust and you do get used to having a lot less salt.
Yeah.
But
we still use salt sparingly in some things, or I will put a little bit on top of the dish, But when I'm making it, I won't put any in because, you know, Jessica doesn't really want a lot of salt. You know, but you know, when I'm heating up my lunch or something at work, a little bit of salt on top ain't gonna kill me.
He's probably sneaking so much salt.
I ain't sneaking a bunch of salt into my diet, Jessica.
I'm actually much more sensitive to it, I think.
Yeah,
and
that's why I don't salt the food as much.
So, you know, I actually I've always preferred things a lot less salty than he has. So it was easier for me to adjust to using like, you know, barely any salt and stuff. But that being said, it's not like we're sitting there, you know, oh, we can't add any salt to anything. But the amount of salt that we intake now has to be just like so small compared to what we used to get in our old diet. Like, it's just ridiculous. I think when it comes to a lot of this, you have to pick your battles. So oil is something we definitely try to avoid.
Yeah, we definitely avoid oil.
It's, you know, going to add a bunch of unnecessary stuff to your food. The sugar, we try not to add sugar to, you know, have any added sugars. That's not really been a problem for us because
we're not big on, well, I'm not big on sugar anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I like sweets, but honestly, fresh fruit gives me enough sweetness, you know, most of the time anyway, or using dates to sweeten stuff.
Yeah, and I simply don't crave sugary things at all.
So those haven't been a problem, but I think the main thing is, like, you have to pick your battles, and, you know, you can make small changes and small efforts here and there, and it will add up over time. You're making better decisions than you were before on your old diet, and that's all that really matters, I think, in my mind.
So to summarize, we essentially follow the 6-week program from Eat to Live, but we do it Croc style.
Yeah, Croc style.
So what is the actual secret to our weight loss? I feel it's honestly just the fact that we stick to a whole food, plant-based diet.
Yeah, there are a lot of ways you can do it. There are a lot of different plans you can follow, but I think you can't go wrong with the whole food, plant-based approach. You get a variety of foods, you get, you know, you feel full, you're able to eat large quantities, and, you know, for us, the weight just has kept coming off.
Yeah.
So let's define a little bit of what is a whole food, plant-based diet, because when we were very new to this, that term was not something that we heard all the time. Now it's like second nature to us.
So Jessica, what's a whole food plant-based diet?
So basically it is, a lot of people ask, like, so is it a vegan diet? Yes, it's a vegan diet. You don't eat any meat, poultry, you know, fish, dairy, eggs, all that stuff is all not included in this diet. But unlike just a vegan diet is a little more broad, so a whole food plant-based diet, you're focusing on trying to get whole, minimally processed foods.
Yes.
So you eat a ton of vegetables, a ton of fruits, you eat whole grains instead of like processed, you know, white flour kind of stuff.
Yes.
You know, you're trying to get the most whole version of stuff that you can possibly get.
Yeah. So there's a clear distinction between vegan and whole food plant-based, in that whole food plant-based is vegan, but not all vegans are whole food plant-based.
Yeah. So also I would recommend, and we're going to put links in the blog post so you can check out those, because there's tons of resources out there.
Yeah.
But I would recommend checking out nutritionstudies.org, because they have a lot of good material that defines like what is whole food plant-based and what is not, and that kind of stuff for people who are just beginning and starting out this lifestyle.
So yeah, the other thing that we didn't do was we didn't count calories. Never did.
Unlike me in our first video, you probably saw me running around the kitchen furiously trying to count.
I need 1,200 calories of potatoes.
How many calories were in the potatoes?
Exactly.
All my life I've been told, like, don't get any less than 1,200 calories. And I honestly don't think we do now, but I honestly don't really know, because we eat until we're full and then we, you know, stop.
Yeah. But we don't even try to calculate our calories throughout a day. We just try to aim for the good stuff that we eat, and that is it. It is a huge load off of our minds, because we don't have to worry about any of that stuff that is normally associated with a diet plan.
You just reminded me. So when we originally started dieting, I had this thing called a CalPal.
Oh yeah, I remember the CalPal.
CalPal. And it was like this little thing. I don't know. I guess now it'd be
This is like pre-Fitbit.
it was pre-Fitbit, yeah. So it was like this little thing that I would, it's like the size of like a Tamagotchi or whatever. If you had a Tamagotchi.
Wow, you really dated yourself there, didn't you?
Tamagotchis were awesome. Anyway, whoa, we're getting off subject. But the CalPal, I would input every calorie of everything I ate in there and try to get to my like 1,500 or whatever I was shooting for at that time. And over time, it just gets so frustrating because you're constantly just doing math and trying to, stick into these and cheat, figure out where you can get in extra calories and all that.
Yeah.
This doesn't involve that. You just eat these whole plant-based foods that are super tasty. I feel like I get more variety now than I ever did on my previous diets.
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
Anything
we
that I've
more
ate before.
varieties of foods now than we ever did before.
I like more things. I like, more fruits and vegetables than I've ever liked before. There's all sorts of new things that I'm discovering all the time, and it's just crazy.
Yeah. One of the other things, though, we've mentioned it before, there are a bunch of different plans out there. We just happened to get onto the 6-week plan from Eat to Live, but there are plenty of other ones out there like Dr. McDougall's Starch Solution, the How Not to Die Cookbook by Dr. Greger, Dr. Esselstyn is out there as well, and it's so many other books that you can read to get more information about this. There's a massive amount of information online as well. We encourage everyone, though, to find their own path to getting healthy. You know your body best, so figure out what you need. Talk with your doctor, and work out a plan that you think will work best for you. For us, we couldn't do moderation. We couldn't do counting calories. We couldn't do the standard of like, oh, let's just eat this and work out a lot. We needed to do something a bit crazy the first time out, and so we did the potatoes, and then we switched up our diet entirely to something completely different of eating whole food plant-based, and that has honestly been the secret to our weight loss.
Yeah. Basically now we've gotten to the point where we just want to learn a lot more. Like I'm actually getting close, hopefully, to the end of my weight loss. I have a few more pounds to my original goal. Brian probably has another 100 pounds or so to lose.
I would like to make the distinction, I don't have a goal.
Yeah, he doesn't have a goal.
I don't believe in goals when it comes to weight loss. I believe in getting healthy. And whatever weight that happens to be at the end, that's what I'm going for.
So we're kind of just like seeing where we end up with it. But as I'm getting closer to, where I probably should be, I'm almost out of the overweight category. So it's just like, as we're getting closer to it, I feel like there are going to be slight changes that I'll make, but I don't really look to make drastic changes. I might eat more of certain categories that I eat less of now to maintain versus lose. But I love the way I'm eating now. Like, I don't really want to change it. One of the coolest things, though, about doing this has been that in the comments, you guys are always constantly like giving us suggestions of things that we can look up or things to try. We post a recipe and you guys are like, oh, hey, try doing this. So next time we make the recipe, we're doing those things. We're trying them out.
I love experimenting.
It's been great, but it's also been learning how, so many of you have shared your stories with us about how you lost your weight. And we love that because even if you followed a completely different plan than us, there is not one correct path that everyone's going to follow and be successful at.
Yeah.
And what do you always like to say?
The most effective diet is the one you can stick to.
Yeah. So we've seen so many different people, and it's honestly like it's been kind of overwhelming at certain points for us, just because there are so many people out there who, care enough to share their story with us.
And we appreciate every single one of those comments.
We love it. So keep commenting, keep letting us know what your questions are.
Yes, please send us those questions because we want to do like a Q&A later on. And so if you do have any questions for us, we don't really care what they are, whether they're about the diet or not. Just go ahead and comment on this video or find us on any of our social media platforms.
Yes.
Just search for Crocs in the Kitchen. That is Crocs with a K. Also, please subscribe to the channel and click that bell notification that is right next to it. That way you can get notifications every single time that we post a new video.
And be sure to check out our website. It's crocsinthekitchen.com.
Yep.
And I'm going to put a blog post up there to go along with this video with a bunch of different links to some of the resources we talked about. And it's also another place you can post your questions for us, and we'll try to get back to everybody.
Yep. Is that all you got?
That's all I got.
That's all I got. We will see you next time on Crocs in the Kitchen. Bye-bye.
I think Pete shrunk.